Good evening, everyone, on a Tuesday evening, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. No, it's actually Pacific Daylight Time. And where my author is coming in from today, Burt Kempner. It's 8 p.m. where you are, is it not, Burt?
It is indeed. Yeah, it's still a little bit light out.
Okay, perfect. So you're tuning in to the MYBC Virtual Bookstore Author Series. I'm about almost 2 years in to interviewing authors from all over the world, talking about their book writing journey, talking about their publishing journey, talking about how they started writing the books, why they wrote the books, and who needs to have their books as a gift, and so much more. So, Burt Kempner, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I've come to children's book writing relatively late in life. I spent most of my career as a writer and producer for documentaries, nonprofit programming, and that was my playground for years and years and years. I have a son who is going to be 30 in July. Mm-hmm. And when he was a little one, he didn't like to read or be read to. He got really itchy very quickly. So I made up stories for him, and I'd make sure they got to the point pretty quickly. Get in, entertain, get out. And that's kind of a formula that stuck with me. And there was one in particular he really loved. It was about a blue whale with narcolepsy. All the other whales were going to the feeding grounds, and Larry, the lazy blue whale, fell asleep, and just everybody else passed him by. And two ships run into him on either side, and they both think they found a new island, this big blue island. And so they claim it for their respective countries. And they finally decide to go to war over, because neither side will give the other one permission. So right before the cannonballs fly, Larry wakes up and he dives. And they're facing each other and say, well, now what do we do? And they end up deciding to go sail to Jamaica for a picnic. So that's how it ends. And I wrote it up and I said, I don't know what I'm ever going to do with this. So I put it in a drawer for maybe 10 years. And then I ran into an artist whose work I really, really liked. She was an illustrator. And I said, I got this manuscript gathering dust in my drawer. Can I show this to you? So I ended up hiring her. Mm-hmm. And she did a lot of work for a publisher, a small publisher, and she showed it to them and they loved it. So that was how my first book, Larry the Lazy Blue Whale, got into the world. So
we're going to pause it just for a second, because there's a lot of things in there at this point. When people start talking, my authors start talking to me, I think there's lots of things to unpack there. There's lots of good stuff to unpack there, Burt.
Sure.
Number one is you not going the self-publishing route your first book out. Your first two. So being confident in the relationship that you had with this illustrator and the trust that you built, because you know what? There's got to be something there that you wouldn't give it to her and then she could go and give it to somebody else. Like that's just the worry as an author I would have, is that this is my story. Who can I entrust it to? Especially if you're not going the self-publishing route, where you have to put a bunch of people in place in order for you to get the book done. So what did that relationship trust building look like?
It all goes by your gut, I guess. I mean, I have been wrong in the past, but I was just absolutely sure this woman was honest and had my interest in art. And she proved to be. We did 2 more books after Larry, and each one was an absolute joyous collaboration. And she got a full-time job somewhere, and I had to find somebody else for the next 5. But we're still friends, and I recommend her to the skies whenever I can. Wonderful woman.
So now we're moving it on to the publisher. You've got this publisher, the small publisher that wants to work with you. What did that interaction look like? This
wasn't the happiest interaction I've had, to be honest, Jeanette. They only wanted to put it out in Kindle. And I think kids love to hold books. And they didn't really, I think, do the best job in marketing. So when I wrote the third book, I said, I'm going to self-publish this one and see how it goes. And it went pretty well. And I published it as an ebook in hardcover and paperback. And I felt like I'd done it justice for doing that. So then
now,
subsequently, the next 5 have been self-published as well.
Okay, so now you've got 7 books under your belt?
8.
8
Just
books.
came out with the 8 earlier this year.
Oh, fantastic. That's a great number. 8 is the lucky number.
Okay.
So now you've got 8 books. You are now in control of your destiny. You're in control of your marketing. You're in control of getting these books consistently out there as they come to you and out on shelves, out on, out for sale. So what did you do to help yourself market these books?
Well, until the pandemic hit, I would be everywhere and go everywhere and show my face and my books and say, hey, look, here's what I got. But the pandemic put an end to that. So I do a lot of these interviews on Zoom. I've joined in quite a number of groups. I've done some advertising, but I could, I'm sure most self-published authors would say it's very, very difficult to get noticed in a crowd like that.
So I see you have a website and you have a media company. What is that all about?
My own Wild Media. Yeah. Well, I had a video and TV production company for quite a while, based in Tampa, Florida. And I ended up moving quite a distance away from where I am now. So I sold it back to my partner. And I wasn't going to do it anymore because it's an awful lot of responsibility and a lot of people depending on you. But then when I started publishing these books, I said, oh, I want to do more. So I still do film and video through Wild Media. I want to start a foundation for endangered species. And that will be Friends of Maisha. Maisha is the heroine of my first, in my School of Animal Magic Adventures series. She's an elephant and she's quite a character. So yeah, so it's an umbrella organization for all the things I want to accomplish yet.
Love it. And I have a friend that Lucia Stieg, who is all about endangered species, and she's an artist in herself. And I think you guys should chat because there could be something in the way of a collaboration of one of your characters that she could create. I don't know. I love collaborating. I love connecting with people.
I do too.
And at this time, I want to give a shout out to Charmaine Hammond because she connected us up. Just beautiful Charmaine Hammond, really so appreciates people's journey in this life and puts people in place in order for people's journeys to be a lot easier. So big shout out to Charmaine Hammond at this time. And I love how you say about collaboration, like you embraced that wholeheartedly. So you didn't feel like you were going alone at this alone. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
So who are some of your other collaboration partners? So you had your illustrator and you
got
a
Stephanie
publisher.
Richall, her name is, and she did the first 3 books. And a gentleman, a fellow Canadian, Cal Howard, has done the series, the 5 books. And he is just a wonderful person. I have so much fun collaborating with him. It's almost illegal how much fun the 2 of us have, throwing ideas and images back and forth. And it's a great experience. I have the highest respect for both these people.
So now I'm going to move to, like, I have 3 C's in my company. It's connection, collaboration, and community. So what has been the response out in your community that you can see, you can physically see, and what has been some of the feedback from the community that have bought your books online that you've never met? So they've just gone on to Amazon and bought your books. What's been some of your community feedback, Burt?
The one that really sticks out for me, Jeanette, my 3rd book is called The 5 Fierce Tigers of Rosa Martinez. And it was inspired by something that happened to me. My then cardiologist wanted to put me on a medication. I said, no, don't put me on that. I've had a really horrible reaction to it. Please don't. But he did. And I got very, very ill and was admitted to the hospital. I had almost bled out. And yeah, it was like that. So I was kind of lying in bed, feeling sorry for myself, feeling kind of let down by the medical establishment. And I don't know if I was hallucinating or having a lucid dream, but the door opened and 5 tigers walked in. I said, okay, there are 5 tigers in my hospital room. And I knew everything about them. I knew their personalities, I knew their backstories, and I knew they were there to help me. And I felt really good about it. And after that, I started healing really rapidly. I think I was out of the hospital in 2 days after that. When I was discharged, I was sitting home for a couple of days. I said, this story is too good to just let go. I'm going to write this up as a children's book, especially for all children, but children who are ill and their parents who need a little hope and healing. So I turned it into a story about this young girl who has these 5 tigers who come to her rescue every time she's in trouble or in this case, a very serious illness. And they take care of it for her. So I got a really nice reception and a lot of people seem to like it, but the reaction that really has stuck with me and will stick with me is a friend of mine gave it to a friend of hers whose grandson had leukemia. And the boy kept reading it, and he went into remission. And he told his mom, my tigers did that. And I said, oh, okay. So maybe this is why I was born. Maybe all these years led up to helping this kid. So I can't think of an interaction I've ever had that was more special to me.
Wow. Woo! Just you're grabbing water, and I'm going to say my eyes are leaking just a little bit. They tend to do that while I'm doing these interviews with the authors. There's just such beauty in creation. And before we came on, I was briefly telling you, my why for the interviewing authors, publishers, the illustrators, the people that are just helped to serve the book community out there. Is I truly believe at the core that if we keep each other in our creative spirit, and that little boy needed the creativity of he was in control of his healing, that we kind of put addiction at bay. And by addiction, I'm not necessarily, alcohol and drugs, but just say the addiction to absorbing news that really isn't for you. It's really stepping into your everyday life that we get to create every single day. And if we support each other in that journey, life is a heck of a lot more playful and fun. And I love the fact that you keep saying play. I did a blog post today on LinkedIn about play. It's super duper important that we play. Well, my friend, you were kind enough.
Yes, I did.
To send me one of your books. And
I see those chicken scratches on the envelope. It must be me.
It is. And it was sent on March the 14th. Do you realize that when this girl gets a present, and this is May, what is it today? May 24th? 24th,
yeah.
That I haven't opened this. So I'm going to open this now. And I'm going to make sure I don't cut the book.
There's no confetti in it. Don't worry.
Oh, or sparkles.
Right.
I think sparkles should be outlawed. When people send sparkly cards in the mail, you're cleaning up, or glitter. You're cleaning up glitter forever.
I wouldn't do that to you.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So the book you sent me is One of Our Gorillas is Missing, A School of Animal Magic, Book 5. I love, this is so realistic. These characters on the front are very realistic.
Yeah, Cal does a great job. Although there are 5 books in the series, but they're all standalone. You can read them in any order.
Okay.
So it's not, you're going to miss something if you start with book 3. Yeah, but this series is really special to me because I didn't see anything out there that it was addressing endangered species in the way I thought it should be addressed. And it's a very heavy topic. There's no getting around it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think kids should be aware of what's going on, but I don't want them quaking in the closet with fear or crying their eyes out. So you kind of have to thread the needle with that and deliver the message in a way. There's a lot of humor in these books, and there's a lot of action and excitement, but it is teaching, and each book is about, well, on the cover here, you'll see our little, this is our action team. They're in a school that teaches animals how to survive. It's kind of like Hogwarts, except the teachers and the students are all animals, and they're learning how to survive, especially if they're endangered. And there's an action team consisting of a young female elephant, a wisecracking cattle egret, and a white lion who's an emissary from the stars. And they're dispatched in each new adventure to help an endangered species. So
I'm gonna pause you just for a second. The first thing that jumps out at me about this cover is the eyes. The eyes at how you are immediately connecting with the souls of these animals. Yeah. They're fantastic eyes.
Cal is wonderful with that.
Yeah. Oh, just magical. So may I be permitted to read the back of the book?
Absolutely.
I normally get the author to read this, but I get to do it this time.
Oh, please.
And so on the back, it says, Professor Artemis Quinn, a silverback gorilla, who's the headmaster of the School of Animal Magic, short form SAM, has taken a leave of absence to search for a missing young nephew, Kemby. When Professor Quinn himself vanishes, Sam's boldest action team, can you pronounce the elephant? Maisha the elephant, Jonas the cattle egret, and Maliki the white lion sets off to discover who's behind these mysterious disappearances. Will they make it in time to save their friends? Read on. And when I open this up, I love the typeface.
Yeah, it's a nice.
What was the rationale for picking this typeface, Burt?
I had to hire a formatter because I went through Kindle to publish it, and that was one of the ones they specified. They won't just take any typeface. So we did that, and Cal did some wonderful illustrations inside.
Again, the eyes are just magical.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, guys. I'm going to ask you out there. Have you ever seen an embarrassed elephant? You're about to get what it looks like to be an embarrassed elephant. Here you go. That is fantastic.
And it says on the drawing that if embarrassment were a country, her face would have been its national flag. That's how embarrassed she was.
And the eyes continue through these pictures. You connect with these characters right away. They're almost human to a point that these eyes are, so they're relatable. They're very relatable.
And they've changed and evolved over 5 books. I guess it's like 4 years since I started doing this series, and they've changed. I recognize big changes in them. They've changed me too. And each book also, I really want kids to get involved. So each book ends with some concrete steps that the kids and or their parents can take to help the species.
Beautiful. So at this time, I love to ask the authors, who are 3 people that your books would be good gifts for?
Okay. I like to say that my books are aimed at kids 6 to 10 and adults over 25. And And the reason is if the adults have to read them over and over again, I have jokes in there only they'll get. So I'm trying to make it as enjoyable for them as possible. Naturalists, kids who love nature, you know, they're really intended toward them. And you know, my books are pretty much comedy. So yeah, animal lovers, nature lovers, inquiring kids who maybe feel they want to do something in the world.
And I'm going to add, after I hear the author's story and have books in hand, I'm going to say, if you are the gift store purchaser for zoos that are very ethical or conservation areas anywhere in the world, we happen to have the Greater Vancouver Zoo that's about 20 minutes down the road, and it's quite a world-renowned zoo. I would say these would be great little guides, but also, you know, a fictional story that they could take along with them. I would also say a great gift for that back to schooler, as we are, you know, where I know we're finishing our school year, but, you know, coming up in August, a lot of kids go back to school in September, is that that student, you know, that kindergartner or grade 1 that's into this kind of thing, that if they got these and were reading them over the summertime, can you imagine how they would go into their grades and go, wow, I know something. This is what I learned over the summertime in a very fun way. So that's my take as a gift, maybe a end of school gift.
Yeah.
Or back to school for summer reading.
That would make me a very happy man.
Perfect. Well, I end this by saying, so Burt, people say, oh, I can't write a book. It's up to you now to say, what's your last parting thought about being about a multiple children's book author? What's your words of wisdom?
If somebody were thinking about writing a book, okay, start writing right now. Start writing. Don't say, well, I have to get better. Start writing. You know, start reading. The basis of a good writer is that he or she is a good reader, an excellent reader. So read more than you do now, and never, ever, ever get discouraged, because people will try and discourage you. Don't let it happen. Don't let them tell you what to think about yourself.
Great parting words, my friend. Great parting words. So, and I end this by saying, brew yourself your favorite beverage, hot chocolate, glass of water, go to your bookshelf, pull out a good book, snuggle into your favorite reading area, and take your mind, body, and soul to another place through the words written by somebody else. So enjoy your night, everybody. Thank you once again, Burt, for joining me tonight on the MYBC Virtual Bookstore Author Series. I will be back next Tuesday with another author. Goodbye, everybody.